The plasma bolt cut through the air with a shriek that made every species in the royal procession freeze. Every species except one. Marcus Cain threw himself forward without hesitation, his human reflexes operating on instinct rather than calculation. The bolt meant for Princess Lyra of the Vantari Empire struck him square in the chest, and he crumpled to the polished floor of the Grand Assembly Hall. Blue blood from nearby wounded Vantari guards mixed with the red pooling beneath the human. Bodyguard! Lyra screamed, her crystalline features fracturing with horror as she dropped beside him. Her 4 hands clutched at his uniform, at his face, at anything that might anchor him to life. But human biology, for all its surprising resilience, had limits. The plasma had burned through his torso, cauterizing as it destroyed. There would be no saving him. "Foolish human," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Why would you do this?" Marcus managed a weak smile, blood flecking his lips. "Job description," he rasped. "Protect the principal." His eyes dimmed and closed. The first human to ever serve in the Vantari Royal Guard died on foreign soil, far from Earth, far from home. The assassin, a Krell mercenary with scales like obsidian and eyes like chips of ice, stood motionless as Vantari security forces surrounded him. He made no attempt to flee. His mandibles clicked in what might have been satisfaction. The human was dead. The contract was fulfilled, even if the primary target survived. What happened in the following hours rippled across the galaxy with a force no one anticipated. The Galactic Council convened in emergency session. Humanity, still a junior species in the vast network of spacefaring civilizations, had never lost a citizen in service to another species before. The political implications were staggering. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez stood before the assembled representatives, her face a mask of diplomatic control, but her hands trembled as she read the statement. "The Terran Alliance mourns the loss of Marcus Cain," she began. "He died doing what humans have always done when given responsibility over another life. He protected it with his own." The Vantari Emperor, a being so ancient his crystalline body had begun to cloud with age, spoke next. His voice resonated through the chamber with the weight of genuine grief. "The humans showed us something we had forgotten in our thousands of years of civilization," he said. "The meaning of duty beyond calculation, beyond survival instinct. He had a chance to live. He chose otherwise. The Council expected demands for reparations. They expected political maneuvering. They expected humanity to leverage this tragedy into concessions and advantages. That was how the game was played among the stars. They did not expect what came next. Marcus Cain's body was prepared for transport back to Earth, according to human customs. But Princess Lyra made a formal request to the Terran Alliance. She wished to accompany the body home. She wished to stand at his funeral. She wished to meet his family. The request was unprecedented. Vantari royalty did not leave their core worlds for funerals. They sent representatives, gifts, formal condolences. But the princess was adamant, and her father, moved by her grief, agreed. The funeral took place in Marcus Cain's hometown, a small settlement in what had once been called Montana. Thousands attended. Humans from across Earth, certainly, but also representatives from dozens of species who had heard the story. The human who jumped in front of plasma fire. The human who died so an alien princess might live. Lyra stood in the front row, her crystalline body wrapped in black cloth as a sign of mourning. She had studied human customs frantically during the journey. She knew she would be expected to speak. When the time came, she approached the podium with careful steps. Public speaking to aliens was not part of royal training. But she had insisted. "I did not know humans before Marcus Cain," she began, her voice amplified and translated for the gathering. "My people have existed for 50,000 of your years. We have seen species rise and fall. We thought we understood the patterns of sentient behavior. We thought courage was calculable. Sacrifice was measurable. Everything had equations. She paused, her crystalline hands gripping the podium. Marcus Cain destroyed those equations. When the plasma bolt came, he had 3 full seconds to move aside. My security detail calculated this afterward. 3 seconds is an eternity in combat. He could have dropped low, rolled left, shouted a warning, and let the guards handle it. Any of these choices would have saved his life. The crowd was silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Instead, he jumped toward death. He put his body between danger and someone he had known for only 6 months. Someone not even of his species. Someone who, by all reasonable calculation, was not worth the trade of his life for hers. Lyra's voice cracked. But Marcus Cain did not deal in calculations. He dealt in something my people had forgotten. Something we lost in our pursuit of efficiency and order. He dealt in the absolute, irrational, beautiful certainty that some things matter more than survival. She looked out at the sea of faces, human and alien alike. You asked me why I came here, why I insisted on this. I came because I needed to understand. I needed to know what kind of species produces people like Marcus Cain. The princess gestured to the gathered humans. Now I know. You are small. Your lifespans are brief. Your civilization is young. But you have something we lost. You burn bright. You die protecting strangers. You sacrifice the calculable for the incalculable. She stepped away from the podium, then turned back. The Vantari Empire wishes to establish a new tradition. From this day forward, no member of the royal family will travel without a human guardian. Not because humans are the strongest or the fastest or the most numerous, but because when the moment comes, when death offers its bargain, humans say no. Humans say not today. Humans say you'll have to go through me first. The silence that followed was absolute. Then someone began to clap. Then another. Then the entire gathering rose in applause that rolled like thunder across the Montana plains. What Princess Lyra did not mention, what she held close to her heart, was the conversation she'd had with Marcus Cain 3 days before his death. They had been reviewing security protocols, bored with the routine, and had drifted into personal territory. Do you have family back on Earth? She had asked. A daughter, he had replied, pulling up a hologram from his comb. A young woman with her father's eyes smiled out at them. She's training to be a doctor, saving lives instead of guarding them. You must miss her. Every day. But she understands. Someone has to stand the watch. Someone has to be the wall. Lyra had found the metaphor strange at the time. The Vantari had energy shields and armor. They didn't need walls of flesh. But now she understood. Humans didn't have impenetrable scales or regeneration or any of the biological advantages other species enjoyed. So they made themselves into walls anyway. They stood in the gap anyway. After the funeral, Lyra met Marcus Cain's daughter, Jessica. The young woman's eyes were dry, but rimmed with red. She had cried her tears already. Now she stood straight, shoulders back, chin up. Her father's daughter in bearing, if not profession. Your Highness, Jessica said, offering a formal bow. Please, Lyra replied. Call me Lyra. I owe your father a debt that can never be repaid. Jessica shook her head. He wouldn't have wanted a debt. He would have wanted you to live. To do something with the life he bought for you. The words struck Lyra like a physical blow. In Vantari culture, debts were sacred. Life debts were chains that bound for generations. But humans saw it differently. Marcus Cain hadn't created a debt. He had created an opportunity. Then I will honor his gift, Lyra said quietly. I will make the cost he paid mean something. In the weeks that followed, Princess Lyra returned to the Vantari Empire and began pushing for reforms her father's advisors found radical. She demanded the Royal Guard begin training programs with human instructors. She insisted on opening diplomatic channels with Earth that went beyond the standard protocols. She became, in the eyes of her people, strange, obsessed with the brief-lived humans and their peculiar philosophies. But she also became effective. Her proposals, unconventional as they were, began to show results. Trade agreements with humanity flourished. Cultural exchanges bloomed. And slowly, carefully, the Vantari began to remember something they had forgotten in their long existence. That sometimes the smallest species cast the longest shadows. That sometimes the briefest lives burn the brightest. That sometimes a human standing his ground can change the calculus of empires. Marcus Cain's sacrifice became legend, not just among humans, but across the galaxy. The story spread from species to species, translated into 1,000 languages, adapted to 1,000 cultural contexts. But the core remained the same: a human bodyguard, an alien princess. A split-second choice that proved what humans had been trying to tell the galaxy all along: that they belonged among the stars, not because they were strong, or numerous, or technologically advanced, but because when the universe demanded calculation, humans offered courage. When the cosmos presented equations of survival, humans wrote poetry about duty. When death came calling, humans answered with 2 simple words: not today. The Krell assassin who killed Marcus Cain was tried and convicted. The Vantari courts sentenced him to memory extraction, a process that would record every detail of his thoughts and motivations.